In a place where there was nothing but darkness emerged 3 bright lights. Each light shone 1,000 times brighter than the sun itself. Damn, where's that bloody thing disappeared? One of the lights sounded furious, and its voice reverberated through the surrounding emptiness. Relax, Omega 2. The biggest threat we had is gone. Now we simply need to search through the universe that we created and find that thing. Other lights calmly said as the 3 lights started to glow brighter. Did you feel that? We are getting stronger. That means the Omega 1 is dead. The 3rd light sounded like it was laughing. Because of that thing it took us 100 millennia to kill Omega 1. The furious Omega 2 shouted. We must find it before it falls into the wrong's hands. After the battle with the Omega 1, I can't fight another Omega. Even though the thing has the power to create another Omega, I don't think it can do that before we find it. What if it falls into the hands of our creations? We created them, and we can certainly kill them and take what's ours. Now let's each take a sector of the universe and search, and don't forget our deal. Meanwhile, somewhere else, the village was littered with gore, blood, and bodies. Red, brown, and black were the new colors of what was once a secret hidden sanctuary, which has now become the stage of a disastrous fight. The air, which would normally be rich in scents of herbs, river, and the sounds of wildlife, now a hellish symphony of screams, explosions, and battle. The men adorned in full battle armor were slaughtering the hooded figures while more armored men surrounded the last hooded figure. Drop your sword, Abras. Without you, we wouldn't have found this place. The least we can do is give you a swift, painless death. The man who wore full metal armor said as he removed his helmet and revealed his face. The evil grin and the scar on his face made him look even uglier, but Abras was not in the state to rate his face as he was riddled with wounds and fighting with the overwhelming guilt in his heart. Looking around the dead bodies of everyone who raised him, Abras wanted to kill himself in the most painful way, considering everything that happened here was his fault. For the outside world, this place had been nothing but a myth until he fell in love with the girl who used him to reach this sanctuary. Even though his mind told him that everything was over and the cosmic stream that they swore to protect had fallen into the hands of the king of Thuja, his heart refused to believe it and wanted to fight until he drew his last breath. The toll on both nature and sanctuary was enormous. It would likely take generations before this village could recover. It was clear gore, rubble, and fire had engulfed the temple he used to pray at, schools he was studying, and the small houses he and his brothers lived in. Generations of elders protected this place and its secrecy, but it only took a girl and his love that destroyed the sanctuary. Whoever has the cosmic stream could tip the balance of the world, and that was why the elders of the first generation created this place and safeguarded the stream for years. But now, there were no more elders and he was the only protector standing alive. Come on, kid, drop your sword. Don't make this hard. No! Abras shouted and dashed toward the general with his last bit of strength. So be it. Uth would have had a hard time defeating Abras if he was at his peak, but now, Abras was injured and lost his hope. Still, Booth was surprised by the speed of Abras's movement as he barely evaded the sword pointed to his throat. Booth was glad that the princess seduced Abras to turn him into a disease carrier and weaken the elders. The alchemists and healers specially created the flu to weaken the elders, and if the elders weren't weakened by the flu, they wouldn't have stood a chance against them, as even a student like Abras was able to threaten them. Realizing that Abras still had some strength, Booth quickly conjured his arch-energy and formed a golden shield around him. Now we can dance! The rest of the armored guards had already started rummaging through the bodies of Abras's friends to find valuables as Abras wiped off the blood pouring out of his mouth. He could feel that he won't be able to live anymore as his heartbeat started to decrease and his muscles started to give up. Uth saw his movement slowing down and quickly dashed at him as he landed a heavy blow to Abras's ribs. The blow sent Abras flying and landed on the ground after hitting the burning tree. Abras's vision became clouded and coughed more blood as he heard the mad laughter of the armored men. General Booth, kill that kid. His Majesty is on his way. Yeah. Booth waved his hand and made his way to Abras while he tried to clear his vision. Forgive me, Elder Wright, forgive me, elders. Abras could see the smiling faces of Elder Wright, his teacher, and every who raised him since he was an infant. When their faces faded away and the face of Lila appeared in his mind, his anger erupted like a volcano. He used to recall her face and dream about a future with her, but now, he felt an overwhelming betrayal and anger. He thought she was an innocent farm girl from the nearby village when he first met her. As a disciple of the sanctuary, he was not supposed to interact with the outsiders, but when he saw a poor girl was going to be killed by wild panther, he saved her. The mistake he made was, after saving her, he accepted to meet her in the place where he first saw her and began to develop feelings for her. He didn't know why he did that. It might have been because he had no friends or interaction with the world outside other than the sanctuary, or her pure innocent look charmed him. However, he wasn't the only one who made a mistake, as when Elder Wright found out about his relationship with Layla. He didn't inform the other elders, who would have given a death sentence to both of them, but he gave his permission for Abras to leave the sanctuary and start a new life with her in a faraway land from here. Since Elder Wright was the one who found him in the middle of the forest as a baby and raised him for 20 years, he was like a father to Abras rather than a teacher. This clouded Elder Wright's judgment and ended up in a disaster for the sanctuary as well as for the world. Even when Elder Wright was in his bed due to the mysterious flu, he ordered Abras to leave the sanctuary and meet Layla as he was supposed to. He said it was his last wish, and Abras had no choice but to leave the sanctuary to meet Layla in the regular meeting spot. But Layla wasn't waiting for him there alone, and instead of the farm girl Layla, the one who waited for him was Princess Victoria of Thuja. She waited for him with a battalion of soldiers and mages, and even then, he simply couldn't believe her betrayal until she put a dagger through his chest and left the place. She spoke nothing, and there was no love in her eyes when she did that, and even though the dagger didn't pierce his heart, it was broken into a million pieces. Abras now had nothing but guilt and anger as he decided to do the last thing he could do, the forbidden spell that Elder Wright taught him.